My name is Lewis Tyler, Managing Editor of International Fire and Safety Journal. Delighted to be here at INTERSCHUTZ on day 2. Also delighted to be joined by Mr. Aaron Johnson. How are you doing?
Thank you very much for having this interview. It's a great time to be here.
Well, thank you for having us. And I think it's fair to say the stand has been really busy today and yesterday, of course. So how are you finding the show?
So the show is very good. We've had a lot of interesting people come by to talk about new technologies, our new listings and approvals that we have on all of our equipment with UL and FM. So it's been very informative, and it's also great catching up with people that you know from the industry that sometimes you're only talking to over the phone or over a Teams meeting. It's nice to be face-to-face for sure.
And then we were talking earlier about, how the industry has transitioned away. So with that, how important is it that, customers are ready and that they work with someone like you guys who, knows how that transition has come about and how it's going to impact the future?
So with the experience that Fireline has in the industry based on some of our previous work experience, we have a vast knowledge of how this industry is changing right now, and customers are asking us, how does the equipment get affected by some of these synthetic fluorine-free changeouts that are happening with the reduction of AFFF type foams that are happening in the industry. So we're able to have those conversations and be able to try and get them in the right path in order to ensure that these life safety systems that are being installed are going to be working correctly.
And then in terms of just the industry as a whole, there's a couple of players that have exited. So with that respect, in that kind of broad scale of the industry, what should companies or organizations, building managers, what should they take into account when retrofitting or looking at new systems?
Yeah, so that's a great question, because there's systems out there currently today that have been around for 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, and now they want to upgrade their system. Well, there's some pieces of equipment that are out there, specifically with foam pumps, where those old companies are no longer in the market. So what we have to do is we have to take our equipment based on what our customer needs are, and then we have to look at what they have currently installed. And then we compare and we help the customer to be able to come up with a solution for them that's going to help fix their problem. And in some cases, they might be able to reuse, let's say, their diesel driver that they have that's operating the pump that they currently have and just replace the pump that's there. In other cases, especially if you're doing a transition to these synthetic fluorine-free foams, higher horsepowers are required in order to drive these a little bit higher viscous foams in the piping. So what that would do is that would require maybe a larger electric motor that needs to be installed, or a larger diesel engine that has to be installed. But we're helping customers with that transition to ensure that they have the right package for what they need. So based on our experience and our knowledge of the previous companies that are no longer in the market, plus with our new UL and FM approvals, we're able to provide a pretty comprehensive package for the customer.
So in terms of, what would you say electronic disproportioning offers to the market that you're kind of involved in?
So with electronic proportioning, which is kind of a newer technology that's in the market, we've got brand new FM approvals on this that allow for much higher viscosities for the equipment that's there. So some of the advantages are, this is a 24 volt system, so it's very low voltage on site. This type of proportioner is viscosity independent. So what that means is basically any type of fluid that is flowing through this device will proportion it correctly. We've just relisted this to a much higher viscosity than any SFFF on the market today. Also with this device, because it is a direct injection type system, we're using magnetic flow meters in the water line, which allows for zero friction loss in the water line. So there's some proportioning systems out there today that require friction losses to be accounted for of 1 to 2 bar or 15 to 30 psi in that water line. And by using a system like this, one of the big advantages is that you don't have to account for any friction loss in your water line anymore. So the hydraulic designer will get that pressure back that maybe they can use in the system somewhere else. Along with that, one of the other major advantages of this type of a system is being able to recirculate the foam back to the storage tank without mixing foam and water during testing. So what that does is that allows the end user to save on concentrate, refilling the concentrate back into the storage tank, but that also in certain parts of the world, we are not allowed to discharge foam into the atmosphere and into the environment any longer for testing. We have to collect it and dispose of it, which can become very, very expensive very, very quickly. So what this allows you to do is you have an FM approved system. You're allowed to test this, recirculate the foam back to the storage tank, and not have to mix water and foam together, which eliminates any type of disposal costs at the same time. So there's a lot of big advantages to this type of system over old historic types of systems.
Final question from me then. So I think you mentioned it a couple of times there, you know, how you're moving with this, you know, and it's certain markets that are asking for different things. How do you as a global manufacturer work with end users in, say, the US, but the US are going to have different requirements from Germany and other parts of Europe. How do you approach that from, you know, a customer perspective?
So the first thing we do is ask questions. So the people that are coming to us and asking questions are familiar with the territory that they're in, and they're familiar with those requirements within that territory. So the first thing we want to do is we want to learn, and we want to ask questions to make sure that we're going down the right path. So relying on our customers, and maybe it's the engineer, or maybe we're talking directly with the end user, they're going to know what those requirements are. So it's going to provide us the information that we need in order to provide the correct solution for their system or for the problem that they're facing. So asking questions is always the best answer, and then you can learn information at the same time. But to your point, globally, there are different requirements in every region of the world, and by relying on those end users and engineers or customers in those territories, it is a big help for us to provide the equipment that's needed.
And then I think, as you said, in terms of working with companies, you're at INTERSCHUTZ, or working with end users, you're at INTERSCHUTZ. Perfect breeding ground for future innovations, and I think we can look forward to seeing what's coming next from you.
Yeah, so we're always looking to innovate. We're always looking for the next thing that's going to be in foam pump world or even electronic proportioning world. Our engineering staff is amazing. They're always thinking, they're always throwing ideas out there. What can we do to improve? One of the things that we did with our new UL and FM listings is we actually changed the design of the internals of some of our smaller pumps. It made them more efficient, it made them quieter, and allowed for certain things to happen that we didn't have before. So our engineering staff is always looking at stuff. We've always got developmental projects going on, and we do a lot of internal thorough testing first before going to the approval agencies to ensure that the products are working as designed and that we know what to expect. So we can expect to see some things coming out of Fireline here probably in the very near future, and I look forward to promoting those new pieces of equipment, new innovations that we have coming out.
We look forward to it too. Aaron,
thank you very much.
See you.